Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, episode 157.
Woo! Yay!
I'm Chris, and joining me today are...
Oh, God. James.
Caitlin.
Jake.
And James.
Special guest star, James Rossi.
Guest star.
Guest star.
Guest star! I am guest star!
Alternately,
Star Wars.
the guest czar, James Rossi.
I think it's important.
Who we will be overthrowing because it's 1920 and we're a year overdue.
It's important to mention that I managed to spit on myself while we were doing the introduction.
Nice.
Good job.
Nice.
Yes.
2020,
It's,
fuck, whatever.
I was going to say, it's 1920.
This week, we will be looking at Invasive Procedures and Cardassians.
I like looking at me some Cardassians.
Ugh,
First up, in Invasive Procedures,
no.
the station is running with a skeleton crew because some big fuck-off plasma storm's in town. Shortly after...
Space.
Yes.
Which is weird is that they didn't bother to spend the money to do the special effects to make the actors actually look like skeletons, which I thought was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was
Damn
kind
it.
of stupid. It really made me suspend my disbelief.
Shortly after the storm arrives, a ship calls in distress, being all, "We got caught in the storm, help us." And they're like, okay. And they come on board, and I forgot to mention that while doing a sweep of the docking ring, Odo and O'Brien had come across Quark sitting in an airlock being all, "I miss my brother." And they're like, yeah, okay, that's shady as fuck, but whatever. Well,
Wouldn't
it turns
you miss
out...
your brother?
Not if it was Rom.
Correct answer.
Not, but so the ship docks, and because of the doohickey Quark put there, security systems don't work. So they're all on there with guns, and they all burst into ops, and they're all fucking stand down, we're in charge. And Tim Russ is all, "I'm a Klingon today."
He's
and,
been all kinds of things.
yeah. And some other Klingon goes down to Quark's, and Quark is like, "You must be here for our deal." And the guy's like, "Fuck you!" And Quark is like, "Wait, what?"
What about the deal?
And it turns out they're actually there at the behest of some sad little nerd called...
Farad?
Yeah, Varad.
Lieutenant Barkley.
Bork.
Who is Trill, who had, studied his whole life to be joined. And then he met the joining committee, and they were like, yeah, no. So he's here to steal the Dax symbiont and then run off to the Delta Quadrant to do
Gamma
stuff.
Quadrant.
What did I say, Delta?
Yes, you did.
Whoops. The Gamma Quadrant to do stuff.
Sex stuff with that lady.
Well, that's what she thinks.
And that Trill.
They do the procedure because he's gonna
Those
kill people otherwise. And Bashir's all touching Jadzia's face, "I'll keep you alive."
Remember, I love you, kind of.
And he does. He managed to keep her alive, even though she should really be dropping dead from lack of symbiont.
I feel empty. I can fix that.
No.
Meanwhile, Nerd Boy wakes up and he's not a nerd anymore. And he's all like, "Benjamin, I'm your old friend." And Ben's like, "Nah, you're killing my friend, though, so fuck you, man." And then he looks at Girlface and he's like, "I'm less attracted to you now." And she has a sad. And then
That's
Quark,
accurate. That's true.
I forgot to mention, too, one of the first things they did when they stormed aboard was they forced Odo to get into a locking bucket.
And
so
shot Miles.
Yes.
Well,
So then
wouldn't you shoot Miles if you had the chance?
Quark is all like, and attacks a Klingon and pretends to be more injured than he is. So
God,
he can,
makes that awful noise
Yes, he does.
for
It's
far
amazing.
too long.
I
and he
loved it.
goes down to sick bay and helps Bashir
You're a sick
distract
fuck, Rossi.
the Klingon.
It was
that's...
weirdly, sexual.
Yeah, he was like,
Oh, see, I just thought he...
shot! I was like, what
after
is
a while,
happening
I
right
was just
now?
like, he sounds like the fucking Chamberlain.
There was a lot of weird sex faces going on in this episode.
Yes! Oh my
Okay,
god!
hold on, I'm not
Fucking,
gonna-
what's his name? Fine.
After the summary.
Now there's 3 of them.
So yeah, they get down, with Quark's help, they incapacitate the one Klingon that's guarding him. Quark then uses his lockpicking skills to break Odo out of his locking bucket.
With love.
Yes.
Actually, his love.
So
not
much love.
lockpicking skills.
And then Guyface is like, "Right, girlfriend who I totally still love, I'm going to meet you off in the Gamma Quadrant, bye-bye." And then they capture him.
Just wait for me.
Because he betrays his ass.
Yeah, and they give the symbiont back to Jadzia. And he wakes up and he's like, I'm sad and alone. And
I'm
she's like,
so empty. And
I'm with
Bashir's
you.
like, I can fix that.
Yeah, and she's like, no, but I'm still here with you. And they cut the episode off before Ben can say, he is going to so much space jail.
They're all going to space jail.
Yeah.
No, they're going to space jail.
All right, now
Who's
talk
gonna go?
about your sex faces.
There are a lot of sex faces.
My sex
There's
faces?
weird sex
When was this?
I have no idea. I mean,
Sex face?
I don't know, someone brought up sex face when I was trying to
Yeah, yeah.
summarize.
My note at the time was, wow, attack Quark. Oh no, this is getting weirdly sexual.
old faces, right? Yeah, Quark kept like sounding like he was coming, which was creepy. It was really high pitched.
He heard it. You know, it was probably a choice because like he heard his ear, which is where Umox happens.
Well, he also didn't really hurt it. He was faking it to gain entrance.
Yeah,
to
but he
the...
knows what it sounds like when a Ferengi hurts their ear. It sounds like a mix. It's like
He's probably done it before.
Yeah, but we've heard him do Umox sound, and that's not what that is.
That's Oda.
Do it. No, just do the. You know what I mean? That's it. Thank you. It's like Renee Auberginois back from the dead. Oh, thank God.
So I gotta say, I did not really think, like, when she was like, she wakes up after having the trill removed.
Jadzia?
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't thinking sexually because I'm not a weirdo. But my thought was like, man, on the one hand, yeah, I get it. Like, all these voices are gone. It must be so weird and isolating. On the other hand, it must feel like she just took the best dump of her life. Because they just pulled a full-ass pork loin out of her belly.
Is that how you take a shit? You cut your stomach open? I think you're doing
Well, no,
it
but
wrong,
I'm just
to be
saying, like,
honest.
that was a big old pork
I mean,
loin.
when you got a poop pouch,
That was a
the
big
way
old pork loin.
It looked like a pork loin. It was very
It
upsetting.
did not. What pork loin have you been eating that looked like that
half-cooked.
desiccated moth cocoon shit
Don't
ball?
eat a half-cooked pork loin.
I wouldn't. I'm just saying, it looked like a
I
half-cooked
mean-
pork loin.
How
How
it looked
hungry
like
am
it
I?
looked like a worm.
Yeah, it looked like a worm. It didn't look like a fucking
worm.
pork
Yeah, it looked like a
loin.
big
It was like
leech.
worm / caterpillar. with
so
like the
that
little
thing though.
hand.
Speaking of which, like they acted like, oh, we gotta get to this genius doctor.
What?
Sorry,
Like,
what?
what?
The genius doctor.
Who are you being right now?
I don't know.
Tim
but
Ross?
I don't think the force is strong with this one, though.
No, so they needed Bashir's help, but it didn't
They
look,
being Varad and
yeah, it
the
didn't look like,
Klingon
it didn't look like a
mercenaries.
terribly complicated
Yeah,
procedure.
you just like
You
I
go
don't
in the
even know-
pouch.
I don't even know why there was surgery involved because the pouch is open, right?
He had to cut the umbilical cord, and that's
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all he
Oh,
needed.
that
He didn't
was
even
so
need to take his
awful.
shirt off. Then why were they all naked on a table?
I mean,
Oh,
he just
Bashir,
wanted an
right.
excuse to see her titties. What are you talking about?
Surgery.
Like, I guess, the main reason he was there was to try and keep Jadzia alive. Because
Yeah.
she was going to die because of the whole disconnection
Yeah,
thing.
but they knew she was gonna die, so why be there to keep her alive?
Well, because his plan was to try to keep her alive so they could then get the symbiont back from Varad and put it back in before she croaked.
yeah, but that's a very what-if plan.
Yeah, it's Starfleet for
And
you.
how
they
long?
kinda-
How long could they
yeah.
live without their symbiont?
Well, so they made a
Not very
big
long.
deal about how it's too late, we can't go back, yada yada yada, and then like the end of the episode is like, yeah, it's all fine. I kind of wish they'd spend a little more time at the end of the episode. It's a little like the Borg incident with Picard. They did have one episode that really dealt with it, but
Yeah.
I feel like this is incredibly traumatic, probably.
Oh,
for Dax.
hugely.
oh, absolutely.
And she's
But-
got that guy in her head now.
Yeah,
Like, how
she-
fucked up is that?
She knows, like, I stole myself, and it's weird.
Yeah, that'd be very peculiar.
I feel like Curzon would be into that, though.
So
Well,
that
someone
actually
was fucking into it because he was acting like nothing fucking happened.
So something that I thought was kind of interesting is Dax a huge jerk.
That's the symbiont?
Dax the symbiont.
Yeah.
Because when Varad was alone, he was like
He was a pushover.
he was
man.
he was like
originally
really sorry that
yeah,
he
he
was
was
doing
like,
these things.
don't
He was
don't
desperate.
get anyone
He was-
hurt, and then he shoots Miles. So
Yeah.
it's like, I guess get somebody hurt.
Yeah,
was
but
Barkley,
he's more
in
scared
my
and
opinion.
desperate, and like his life was torn away from him, and he's trying to salvage it. And then he gets the symbiont, and he gets all confident. And he's just like, and then he's a huge jerk, like completely dismissive of the woman
Yeah,
who
what's
like
one
they were in
girl's
love,
life?
and like and
or
all of
thinking
these
of
things.
Jadzia at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one.
but the only thing that changed was Dax.
Yeah,
So
I think it really proves, even though they don't say it outright in the episode, the reason he was rejected was because his personality was just too weak. Like, he was.
Possibly.
Oh, you're
he
right.
was
Like
almost,
Dax takes him completely.
I don't know.
over.
His personality is strong enough to hire some mercenaries to kidnap a symbiont and murder a host.
I wonder how much of that was sort of handled by his girlfriend.
I don't know.
yeah,
Because
no,
that's the thing, is like,
he shot. Like, it wasn't like he had, he had
Yeah. He shoots Miles and says, I will kill every single one of you to get this symbiont. It's like, whoa, where did this come from, dude?
But I think that ties, like, he was sort of desperate and kind of crazy.
But if his personality was weak, that would mean that Dax is definitely a gigantic jerk.
When not reined in by a sensible Trill.
But, like, a really awful symbiont.
And maybe that's things. The symbionts themselves are probably very... They probably don't have a sense of...
individuality.
Not that, but I think they might not have much in the way of empathy. Like, I think they're probably much more self-focused.
Oh, we could ask Deanna help.
They definitely must be, because they, like, literally take over another life form to continue their own lives.
Yeah, but I think it's the merging with the humanoid Trill that allows them to sort of... Like, you bring all the intelligence and the years of experience and this and that. The host brings the, like, empathy and decency and things like that. So maybe if the personality is not strong enough, the Trill just goes into full...
Well, I also wonder if it's like,
mode.
You know, if you're a shitty person to begin with, which Rod was, then having the symbiont will kind of amplify those traits.
That's true.
And, if you're a good person like Jadzia, then the symbiont kind of amplifies those traits.
They make a statement at one point, like, if it's not a good match, it can, like, really, really fuck with the person that it becomes.
Yeah, well, I'd say they can fuck both the Trill and the symbiont.
The other thing is, like, also kind of view it with Curzon Dax in mind as well, because Curzon Dax is kind of a big jerk. Like, he's very much like, he was like he was a crusty old man. He, like, hazed people all the time. Like,
he was a hornball.
Yeah.
Being a Trill must be super, super weird, though.
Yeah.
A Trill humanoid or a Trill...
Yes.
Symbiont?
Basically all of it.
Yeah. I get the impression that the symbionts are like... I don't know, I'm just imagining, like, the ultra-intelligent species that just wants to control the universe, but they don't have... They're just slugs, so they can't. So, you know, they adapted to, like,
they're
parasite these people.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the Animorphs. We talked about this before?
I think so.
It's come up. I don't think I got far enough into the Animorphs series to know what the hell you're talking about. All I know is that girl turned into a dolphin, and she enjoyed it a lot. Tobias got stuck as being a hawk.
A hawk, yep. Basically, there was, like, an evil alien race that was crawling into people's ears and taking them over. And they were, like, slugs.
And how did the changing into animals factor in?
Well, that was, like, a different group. I think that they were...
This is all logical.
The Animorphs were, like, the good guys that were this other race of aliens given
Was
this
real?
power.
Was this Animorphs literally just Transformers projected onto animals instead of robots?
No,
I'm gonna say
because the Animorphs could turn into any animal they'd ever come in contact, not just a truck.
There were the triple changers.
You fool, Jake. You don't know the basics of storytelling.
So, back to this...
The Transformers are pretty fucking lame in that way.
Back to this story.
Wait. Let me just clarify really quickly. There's good aliens and bad aliens. They're both on Earth. The good aliens give the Animorphs their power. So the humans are actually kind of not really involved until they get brought in. So it's not quite... Well, no, I guess it is kind of like... Because people wind up helping the Transformers, right? I've never watched Transformers.
I never watched it.
I just know that
Which one is Jadzia?
Jadzia is Optimus Prime.
So anyway...
Rahad is Bumblebee?
This episode. So presumably, because we know how he feels about Jadzia, Quarkles didn't know this was the plan, I assume.
No.
Like, he thought...
Quarkles?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, I also don't.
It popped into my head. It sounded terrible once I said it. I was hoping no one would say anything. But presumably he just thought this was an aid of that supposed deal with the other Klingon.
Yeah. And, like, I missed a reference to this when I first watched it. I was like, wait a minute, they all have phasers. How do the phasers work? And I guess Quark turned off the...
Yeah, he put a little thingus in
Okay, I missed that on my watch, and I had to read about it in a synopsis afterwards.
Yeah, after Odo and O'Brien drag him out of that airlock.
Quark has that power on the station?
Well, he had a doodad.
He had put a doodad. Quark, we know Quark has, like, access to pretty much everything.
So many
on the
doodads.
station.
Yeah, we've seen him do the doodads at least twice to get access to shit he shouldn't have access to with the same things he was selling to these Klingons, actually, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so he clearly thought one thing was happening, and it turned out to be something else entirely.
Yeah.
But it was funny because they never actually made that explicit in the episode. Which, I mean,
Well,
I appreciate them,
What was Quark's plan? Because it seemed to be that he was going to let them sneak onto the station so he could sell them some stuff.
Yeah, and I think
that
presumably
was
thought
his
that's
plan.
all that was happening.
Yeah,
Right,
during a time
but-
when no one's around.
Yeah,
so
and then
it's
they
easier
would
to do it.
leave.
And everything would be fine.
And Quark would play dumb.
Yeah.
But they came in saying we've been damaged.
Right.
That's where I think all of it went off the rails.
Yeah, like, as far as Quark knew, because when the other Klingon walks in, he goes, I suppose you were rescued as part of the plan, ha ha ha. So he really just thought it was probably some of these couple of Klingons were going to come on board, buy his little vials of honey, and then piss off.
Right.
Little bottles of honey.
But then things went very wrong.
But I guess they could have just done that in the first place. I don't think Quark was needed.
No, he
Well,
was
no.
because he opened the.
So
He allowed them to get their weapons
Yeah.
on board.
Oh,
They
okay.
didn't have their weapons.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Presumably what he put on shut down whatever would have,
Yeah, that's why they needed Quark. And if Quark had stopped for a second, he'd be like, why do you need weapons to come buy some shit from me?
But it's Quark.
But
so.
it's Quark, and he has a very one-track
rule
mind.
of acquisition number 88. Don't ask questions.
I know Quark ends up in a way saving the day in the end.
Yeah, the action Quark was a pretty fun time.
But at the same time, how is he not facing any serious consequences for his involvement
Absolutely.
in this?
because he and Odo love each other so much.
No, actually, though, he might, because Kira says, remind me to have a conversation with Quark. And granted, she says that... Actually, no, I
She
think
also says, no matter what happens, you're done here.
And he is clearly not done
No.
here. Yeah, no, there was a lot left implicit that, clearly once all was said and done, he was like, look, I thought they were just here for a thing, and blah, blah.
And everyone went, oh, Quark, you scamp.
And they're like, look, since you helped, we won't kill you, but we are going to break your foot.
He uses that foot for Umox.
I think he gives himself a box with his foot.
But yeah, no, credit to Varad's actor, though. I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, his transformation.
Distinguishing.
His transformation from, piss pot to I liked his scenes with Cisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
those were good scenes. I feel like the way that they wrote the character initially it just made no sense that this guy who is a piss pot who seems like
piss pot.
He seems so unambitious, and yet somehow he's pulled up enough favors with Klingons and stuff.
I don't know. It seems to be
to be here to do this
very
nerd illegal
rage
thing
type stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's like fucking Aurora Shooter. He seemed like a real fucking loser, and then he
from
goes
Vortex.
What? No,
Aurora.
the actual
Aurora,
person.
Colorado.
Oh, I thought you were referring
The
to
frickin-
an episode.
yeah.
No, he means the guy that shot up the theater. Wasn't it the theater?
Yeah, that's a theater. But like a school shooter type, that personality type where it's like, oh, he's a real timid guy, he's a real loser, and then he just is like.
Well, I mean, everybody's a big man once they have a gun in their hand.
Exactly, and that's what I think this guy did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. He reminded me a lot of Barkley. I think I said as much to you, but just the really stammery little kind of pussy.
Like Barkley when he got the alien big brain.
Oh, nth degree.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking more about the piss pot part, but yeah, I guess.
But yeah,
right.
but the whole thing was he was a piss
both
pot,
stages.
and then he got the big brain, and then he became like Varad with
the biggest brain.
But yeah, no, I just thought the actor did a really good job making them very distinct. I mean, his posture even changed.
Yeah.
Which was nice, because not everyone would think to do that.
I like that actor.
Well, it was referenced in the script.
Oh, okay.
Because they ask Girlface, more real. He even stands differently, doesn't he?
That's right, yeah.
So.
And she's like, shut up, he's the same guy, and I love him. Oh, he's being weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so her story is she worked in a brothel.
Yes.
That Varad frequented.
Mm-hmm. I do not remember this.
It's true.
She tells it to Cisco.
This is correct. She does.
And then he helped her get out of there with his contacts or money or something.
Or he was just like, okay, we're leaving now, and they walked out.
Yeah,
or you're mine now.
So he thinks
I bought you.
Ugh.
I don't know. So she helps him out of some form of some sense of loyalty.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Why does it seem like
she
she actually
loves
does
him.
care about him?
She thought she loved him at least.
Yeah,
Well, she does love him. She just doesn't love him plus Dax.
Yeah, dating a pre-joined Trill does not seem to work.
Not
Like,
if they
that
ever end
doesn't-
up joining.
That's true, he doesn't. But, if someone were dating Jadzia, and then all of a sudden, Jadzia's going to get implanted with Dax now, what would that person think?
Yeah.
Cool.
I have to say, I kind of expected there to be more, obvious and devastating fallout for him joining when he wasn't supposed to join. I was kind of anticipating, loss of control or like bodily breakdown or something really shitty. Like I get that. I guess
he
that
literally can't control.
yeah, he
his
literally
bowels.
shits himself. Yeah, no, because like that was what I was sort of assuming, and I guess like the more subtle thing that we were sort of talking about, where it's like no, maybe like Dax just comes out more when you're like a really weak little bitch. But I was expecting like catastrophic results.
They also could have, like, totally fucked it up and gone for almost a comedy angle. And it's like, he controls the left side of the body, and the symbiont controls the right, and he just keeps hitting himself. Like, put me back! Put me back! It's like, yeah!
No, that's a TOS episode.
No, I said that would have been fucking it up, so believe me, that's...
Or
Or
I
he's
think
like,
it's a bad
he
idea.
becomes Wheatley in Portal 2 and just goes absolutely mad with like completely stupid power.
That's kind of what he did, actually.
I mean...
He just didn't control the computer.
I mean... I don't know. Anyway.
But yeah, no, it did definitely feel like...
I was expecting something more devastating, not just...
Or he would have been more actively, like...
Oh, Cisco doesn't want to be my friend anymore.
Or
I
like...
was expecting to be falling apart somehow.
Or mood swingy, like going from sort of rational to, like, raving, or...
So, like, the potential side effects that they said, you know, oh, if a person not fit, as he is not fit,
Yeah, clearly.
tries to do it, it may not work, kind of bullshit.
Yeah, like he was...
But
like,
it does
or
work.
his body starts, like, rejecting the symbiote,
Well, they
or...
probably also just want, you know, the best people for joining, you know? They don't want a loser.
A little wimp.
You
So
know,
how many
they want someone who's
symbionts
going
are
to...
there?
Apparently, there's enough
How do
symbionts for 10% of
there's
the
at least one.
Trill population.
Possibly
Yes.
just Dax.
They
And
said-
how do they reproduce?
There's-
Do they reproduce?
I don't know.
I
P and V.
I think they do. I think they... Because at some point there's...
We get to watch it
they're
later.
in a...
I hope not.
Is that
Well,
later?
they live in their natural state. They live in like a swampy type cave. Like there's a cave
Yeah.
with like a pool
Well, I look forward
filled
to
with
seeing
dry
it.
ice that they live in.
Are they just Yoda's poops?
Wait, isn't that a Farscape episode or something too? Isn't there some episode of some other sci-fi show where there's like sluggy symbionts that like live in like tanks?
Well, that's
SG-1.
yeah, SG-1. Yeah, that's Stargate.
What did I say? Farscape?
Yeah, you said
Maybe I
Farscape.
meant Stargate. Is that what I meant?
Yeah, Stargate.
They-
Stargate has
They
that.
have a Trill thing on their ship.
I mean, the Jaffa bit were practically just Trill.
I
Yeah,
I
but,
feel like
but
we've
also
talked about that
the Goa'uld in their natural state they live in like a swamp.
What's a Goa'uld again?
That is the symbiont of the Stargate universe.
Yeah, that's it. Goa'uld. That's what it was. Okay, because I was like, that word sounds really guacamole.
Or Gould
sounds
if
familiar.
you're
Gabagould?
Hammond from Texas.
Yeah.
Gould.
Oh, James, earlier you were saying that you'd seen Varad in something else?
Yeah, it was Gremlins 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was sitting there watching the episode, and it's like, I swear I've seen this guy before, like maybe as a Vulcan or something, but I looked him up, and no other Star Trek appearances.
Oh my god. Is he the one that gets killed on the toilet?
No, he survives.
Do you know what I'm
I
talking
think.
about, though? The scene I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That movie
But-
is so funny.
What's funny,
Gremlins
though,
2 is really
Yeah.
good.
is he's
He's
not...
the owner of the company.
I've never seen any of the
Oh.
films. I've just seen a horrifying clip.
He's not been in Star Trek again, but he was in Frasier once. And what else we got here?
Don't care.
The other Klingon.
Jesus.
Well, you'll care about this. The other Klingon was the other Romulan, not Geordi's friend, in the Galorndon Core episode.
There was another. Oh, the one that
Worf let
gave
die.
money to. Give a
You were right. She
body
did
part
care
to.
about that. She perked right up.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we're talking about Star Trek again, and not fucking other.
Oh yeah, no, I was
shows.
bringing. Yeah, that's the thing. Is so it's funny because the guy who I thought I would have seen in Star Trek, I in fact hadn't. All other the three, because obviously Tim Russ will see in Voyager, and even Mariel will see again.
Galorndon Core. That was
Just feels like something from Skyrim.
that was Boss Nass saying Galorndon Core.
So at the end, I'm a little unclear what happened at the end. So Jadzia wakes up and she's got all of the stuff from the symbiont's memories from. Would that include all of Varad's life or just the stuff that?
You know,
in
she
the last
said
5 minutes.
she said she had everything. From,
Now, did he have memories left
No.
then or no?
No,
he specifically
forgot everything.
says, yeah, he lost
Okay.
everything.
So
That was
so
unclear.
Jadzia now has memories of plowing that lady?
Probably.
She has probably memories of plowing a lot of.
I was gonna say
Curzon
Curzon
got
got a lot of
Yeah.
fucking on, so it's
True.
nothing
That's-
new.
So
I'm
hang
sure.
on, so Varad
Maybe
was-
Curzon even fucked
Like,
that
Jadzia
lady.
has
once.
memories of that lady stepping on her dick while he, he cried.
What were you gonna say?
So now Varad wakes up and
Yep.
he,
We're
sees.
just going with the kind of guy, right?
Can I?
Yes.
Fuck you. He wakes up, so he has no memory, so he looks over and Muriel's like, but I'm here, but he doesn't even know who the fuck she is.
No.
Oh, no,
He remembers who she is.
Yeah, no, he has his own memories.
He doesn't remember what happened while Dax was in him. Everything else.
No, I think he does remember. I think he just doesn't remember the memories of the other hosts.
Oh,
yeah, like he remembers everything.
It sounded like he said he didn't remember any of it.
No, he means he lost just all that knowledge he'd gained.
Oh yeah, because he literally, I guess he literally did say all that. No, all that.
Yeah,
knowledge.
like he remembers what happened. He remembers who he is. He knows his own history, but like he can no longer. Like, he knows it's almost like a Flowers for Algernon situation where he knows he had this knowledge, but he can't call upon it anymore.
Or a Barclay nth degree situation.
Or that, yeah.
He can still play chess, though.
True. Yeah, and the thing, of course, with him is he had not had the symbiont long enough that he has to worry about dying, having it separated from him. So, again, he gets to go to space jail, even though the episode acts like he's not going to.
In the space jail.
Yeah.
I wrote down in my notes, how do comm badges work if they've been stolen?
Right, I had the same thing, because they didn't have... When did they reprogram them?
Yeah, they're like, Yeto, where are you? Yeto, where are you? Oh, he's not on his comm badge. That's because it's not his fucking comm badge.
Yeah, no.
Wait, but why wouldn't the comm badge work for them?
Because they stole them from...
Yeah, because it's like...
But why does it matter that they're not
It's
there?
programmed to be Cisco's phone.
Because if you say, he should have to say, Cisco, are you there? Because the comm badge connects you to the person you're trying to talk to. How does the comm badge know that it's on?
I didn't realize. I guess...
Like in
I don't
theory,
know what I assumed, that everyone heard everything you said, I guess.
They wouldn't have shown it.
Line.
They wouldn't have shown it, but in theory there had to be a scene where they reprogrammed them to work for the people that stole them.
Maybe.
Also, they stole Odo's comm badge, so did they have a chunk of Odo?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is his comm badge just part of him?
Yeah, we've had this discussion before, and we've never...
He flushes it to subspace.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's inconsistent.
But yeah, I had the same thought at that point. It's like, wait a minute. When did you do this?
I didn't notice that. Well, they had plenty of time. They, Quark everybody was knocked out. They did it during the surgery. Yeah, that's when they did it, during the surgery.
Odo should have turned himself into a tripwire instead of getting captured.
Yeah.
Or turn himself into literally anything instead of being captured.
He should just turn himself into a second door blocking the regular door.
Or a Klingon-sized plastic bag.
Or just a Klingon head-sized plastic bag.
Yeah, that
really,
would have been fine. He's just not...
He doesn't turn into very angry gorillas frequently enough, is really the lesson here.
Does he ever turn into angry gorillas?
I don't know, but he should all the time. Just like, Quark! Pounding on his chest.
I'm sorry, how was that?
Ow. No, I'm not doing that again.
Oh,
you hurt yourself by hitting yourself like a gorilla?
A little bit.
Wow.
Listen,
I have tender nipples!
I was gonna say, what is happening?
So much I didn't need to learn today.
I mean, I think everybody has pretty I don't know. Nipples are sensitive, aren't they? I don't know.
It is funny, though. Like, you kind of gotta wonder where this fucking milquetoast dug up Klingon mercenaries.
Probably the same whorehouse he got his girlfriend
And ones that
from.
apparently already knew Quark.
Yeah,
or at least that one guy, it didn't just seem like you're that guy I've been talking
Quark
to.
knows
It's like,
everybody.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sure
He knows
they.
every creep in the
no,
galaxy.
I bet you. Here's how I bet it went down. Murad and his girlfriend are hanging around, and he's like, "We got to find the trail." So he does a lot of research. He finds out, hey, there's this Dax, be a good match. She's like on this, out in the middle of nowhere on this stupid space station. Let's plan a heist.
Did they? Did they wait for there to be a storm and there be a skeleton crew, or did they make the storm?
They probably
they
just it was a crime of opportunity.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
But
it is convenient because they also wanted to be able to take Dax so they could then immediately hightail it to the
and the guys,
Gamma
the
Quadrant.
Klingons were not like their friends; they were just hired.
Yeah, they're
muscle.
hired help, yeah.
So they probably just are like, hey, make contact. There's a sketchy dude on the space station. Make contact with him and say you want to buy some honeysuckle thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I never realized was Tim Russ had originally auditioned for the role of Geordi.
Really?
He didn't get him.
Huh.
Damn, he's been trying to get into Star Trek forever.
I mean, he's been
Yeah,
on Star
and
Trek
they
for
liked
a
him
long
well enough, so
time.
they kept casting him as random things until they finally made him, this Vulcan guy.
Yeah.
Now he does like fan films for Star Trek.
Does he?
He's been in a couple. I think.
Apparently he
He
really
just
likes Star Trek.
really likes Star Trek. Like, he
Yeah,
does
fair
other
enough.
stuff. I think he's a director.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I was like kind of uncomfortable with how much Bashir was like caressing Jadzia's
That was
face
a
while
little-
she was getting ready
so
to die.
yeah, so it was
Long
after
touch.
the symbiote had gotten removed. Then Bashir is like trying to comfort Jadzia.
Yeah, but that was
But
his doctorial
But
cut.
No,
like with his
his-
pecker though.
Yeah,
it's not right.
his touching her face was like really intimate
Yeah,
and
it was
like
uncomfortable.
sensual almost, which was very inappropriate. And
Yeah,
gross.
it's like, dude, she might not survive the night.
Yeah,
Like,
but I mean, I hope when I'm dying, someone tries to still get it. You know, one last happy.
I don't think that's what Jadzia wanted.
Well,
And also,
I don't
Jadzia
think Dax wanted it. We have no idea what Jadzia
Well,
is
Jadzia
into.
right now is in a very, very, very bad place. You
Yeah.
probably shouldn't force.
Yeah,
no,
no,
you,
like-
you shouldn't be forcing, this kind of
I
face
think-
face caresses. I don't really think it was a good thing. I think it was.
I think it
gross,
would have
just
been
so we're clear. I'm just trying to be
really
funny.
an interesting situation to have Jadzia without the symbiont like interact more.
Yeah. 'cause
So
we
you
didn't
could have
get a
gotten-
sense.
yeah.
She seemed more or less the same.
Right, and it would have been interesting as a counterpoint to how changed Varad is. So, like, you know,
Yeah.
Jadzia could also be similarly, like, very, very different.
Yeah.
A total bitch. Get your fucking hand off me.
No, I really liked.
Bashir.
I really loved I've never felt so lonely. Kind
Yeah,
of.
that
I
was
think
Right,
that
was a
was-
nice
that stuff was
moment.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it just
You never see her grapple with her mortality, which should be
Well, she
any
spends-
fucking second.
yeah.
now.
She spends most of it unconscious.
She spends most of the time she's just trying to get killed.
That's true. She does.
That was-
That's Dax though. Dax doesn't seem to care about
That-
living or dying.
That was one of the notes I had, where she was like, "Don't worry, everybody. Jadzia's always ready to croak, so she will happily give up her slug to this asshole."
Yeah, I think this comparing this episode to last season's Dax, I like this one a lot better.
Oh, it's so much better.
That was the other one where Jadzia wanted to die.
Yeah. Very eager.
Oh, right, because she done a murder.
Yep.
Yeah,
with
let's learn
the-
more about the Trill, and also Jadzia doesn't give a shit about being alive anymore.
She must be a millennial.
I love the discussion between Cisco and Varad Dax.
Oh, that was great.
Where, like, literally at the end of it, like, Cisco's just like, you know, it's like, haha, we're such good friends, aren't we? Haha, maybe don't let Jadzia die. And Varad just has absolutely no interest in it, and Cisco just literally is like, our friendship's over. Like that's the big emotional moment, is a friend breakup.
What I like too is then after that they cut to like some unexplained amount of time has passed and Varad's sitting at Cisco's desk looking sad. And I imagine he logged on to Space Facebook and was like, "Oh, you really did unfriend me."
Oh,
Spacebook.
no.
Just Spacebook.
Spacebook is good.
Thank you. I liked at the end when he's like, "Don't call me Benjamin."
Yeah.
I really like
Yeah.
Cisco. Cisco is
he's great.
grown on me so much.
He had some good reads in this episode too.
Yeah. Oh, he raged the hell out on a Klingon and like almost took him down. I think he was going to take him down, but then someone else interfered. Like,
Yeah, this was more a Cisco
Girl, it
episode
was-
than a Dax episode.
right.
Well, it tends to happen. It seems
Yeah,
like
it's
in these
a
Dax
you
episodes.
learn a thing about the Trill. Jadzia happens to be there. Look at Cisco go.
And you also got to see Action Quark.
Action Quark is my favorite.
I got him. He's like riding his back. It's fucking ridiculous.
Which,
I loved it.
I mean, you know, that...
Until he started making those sex noises.
you gotta say, though, that... like
No,
that,
it was.
Yep.
That though, I
Ugh.
gotta admit, you know, he's a skeezy little fucker, but that's a big deal for him, because that easily could have ended with him getting killed by a Klingon, and he did it anyway.
Well, not just that. He was acting out of like not just his own self-interest. He was doing it to help other people, which is like
Yeah.
Well,
not
he likes Jadzia.
not a thing. Well, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
Jadzia is the one he
well,
likes.
and
he
doing
kind of
it
just wants to like fuck her, though. You know what I mean?
still... But I think to a
That
certain
comes
extent...
from respect.
You can still argue there's at least some self-interest, because maybe he's figuring, like, look, if I do this, maybe they won't shoot me out an airlock.
Well, sure,
But I think it
he had
probably
no
was-
reason. But he had no reason to assume he would survive any of this.
Right, that's
so-
what I mean. Like, it definitely was the most selfless thing we've probably seen him do so far.
Yeah.
Aside from that time where he almost tried to make Odo leave the station with him because they're friends.
Oh, such
Miles
friends.
got shot.
Yes, he did, and then
Oh,
he drank some shitty soup.
Yep. Shit soup.
Yeah.
It's like, they go, do you have a brother, Chief? And I'm like, you know how many siblings he
Yeah,
has?
he's
He's
got
Irish.
10, dude. He's got 10 brothers.
Oh, Quark had the best line. Or someone had the best line. Who said the line, Ron couldn't find a cup of water if you dropped him in a lake.
Yeah, that was Quark.
I
I wrote
loved
that
it.
one too.
That was
I loved it.
I'm pretty sure it's Quark. They were both talking about him. But...
Yeah.
No, I think it might have been Odo.
I was gonna say, it feels like something Odo
Because
would
Quark
say.
was doing the I miss my brother thing,
Yeah.
and Odo's like, really?
Well, I thought it was
Rom?
like...
You
it's
realize
like
you're talking about Rom,
just
right?
Oh, maybe.
Oh, but that
But
might have been Quark being like, look, I know, he couldn't find a cup of water to drop in the lake,
Maybe.
but he's my brother.
Yeah.
Well, whoever said it was a good line.
It was.
It was a good line.
Speaking of familial relations, tell us about Jono.
Jono?
I see what you did there. Jake has decided we're moving on to
I think we should move on.
Cardassians. Yeah, no, we were clearly running out of
I do want to
steam.
say really
Rossi
quick.
clock said.
It's over there. There were some really good moments with Julian being like an actual badass towards the Klingon.
Oh, yeah.
Where he turned a Klingon into like his
nurse.
Yeah.
I did. My note on that was Julian going a little bones
Oh,
here.
that was
Yeah.
pretty
Just
good.
putting his foot down.
Yeah.
I like it when Starfleet doctors put their foot down.
Right.
They
well,
all...
I also like the jerk Klingons tend to respond to the same thing. So
Yeah.
like he was just like, I'm not doing this, and Julian said, yes, you are, and the Klingon was like, all right, cool.
So, in Cardassians...
Bad title.
Suddenly Cardassian.
Yeah.
That's
We,
good. That's good. That's a much better title, too.
I don't get it.
Suddenly human.
It's a reference to the exact same episode that we already watched.
This
Keeping
one,
up with the Cardassians?
I would say, is a lot better, though.
Oh yeah. Wait.
If only because, one, it doesn't involve those horrible noises.
Oh, that fucking kid.
And two,
Oh,
it
a kid that
involves...
kept yelling for no reason?
Yes.
Ugh.
And two, it involves a lot of Garrick.
Yeah.
Garrick's back.
Yikes.
I gotta stop trying to be funny.
Oh,
So
boo.
Garrick's back. He's sitting down with
Hello, friend.
his old buddy Bashir. They're sitting around in the
Tells
replimat.
Julian.
There you go, nailed it.
Garrick and Julian are sitting in the replimat and they're having coffee and
Kissing, right?
you know, Julian's kind of like, "Come on, you're a spy. Tell me about yourself." And Garrick's like, "I'm plain simple Garrick." And then an old Bajoran dude walks in with a teenage Cardassian lad, but the lad is wearing a big old Bajoran religious earring, and Garrick's like, "That's fucking weird." And he's like, "I'm gonna go meet this kid. We're gonna be really creepy about it." So the kid bites him.
Good looking boy you got
Yeah,
there.
seriously, it's
Yeah.
like,
The fuck?
like,
I would have bit you too.
yeah,
you
no,
fucking
that's the
sick
thing. It's like,
bitch.
Garrick, being fair, that was the weirdest way to introduce yourself.
He was acting like you wanted to buy him, for Christ's sakes.
So, you know, they're all like, "What the fuck?"
And turn him into a coat.
Yeah. They're all like, "What's going on here?" It's like, "Oh, he's a Cardassian war orphan." We find out a lot of Cardassian war orphans were left behind on Bajor, and, you know, they've been living, mostly it sounds like, in Bajoran orphanages, but some were taken in by families.
It's kind of a bummer that, like, not all of them found homes.
Yeah, well, especially because...
I feel
Yeah,
like
if you're
most
Bajoran,
Bajorans
who- are you
would
gonna-
not
are you gonna
adopt
want
a
to adopt?
Cardassian.
Yeah, but
They're
we'll
just kids.
we'll
They're
get-
Cardassians.
We'll
Have you
get...
seen how racist the Bajorans are?
We will get to this.
Only as racist
This is
as
part of the
O'Brien.
conversation. Shut up! So they start kind of looking into this kid and his history and all this, and...
And he doesn't have one.
Yeah, and Garrick especially is kind of like wheedling
Julian.
Gal-
Bashir to be
No.
his little kind of
Fuck
agent again.
Fuck puppet.
And we come to find, you know, they're talking to this random businessman who was a witness, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've met the father. They abused the shit out of him." And meanwhile, Gul Dukat's calling up, being like, "I hear there was an incident with a Cardassian boy. I really want to bring the war orphans back to Cardassia." And Garrick's all like, "This sounds fishy." God, this actually gets really quite convoluted.
Yeah, I was very confused by the end.
So it eventually turns out that Boyface is the lost son of a prominent Cardassian politician. We find out a little bit more about Cardassian civics. There is ostensibly a civilian government, but it has very little power. But it did somehow manage to force the evacuation of Bajor by...
So that wasn't a lie.
That I didn't
I
take
feel
it
like
as
all
much.
Cardassians are lying, even when they're speaking the opposite.
Oh, especially when they're telling the truth. But, so it's this very complex, long in the making plan where it sounds like basically what happened. There was a terrorist attack on this guy's house when he was living on Bajor. Gul Dukat found his son, but instead of admitting, "I found your son," like, shoved him into an orphanage being all, "I can use this later."
This is a long-term fucking plan.
It really
it
is.
really
A
was,
kid,
though.
a kid in an orphanage is money in the bank.
It is. And basically it all sort of works out. This is what Garrick has worked out, but doesn't say directly, is that Gul Dukat's going to choose now to spring this kid on the world because it would be very politically embarrassing for his father to be like, because his family's so important to the Cardassians, that like, "Oh, you lost your son, you didn't try hard enough to look for him, and this, that, and the other thing."
And
It's
here
this
he
whole-
is. You fucked up.
Yeah. But then, you know, it is brought to light that, like, clearly this was something Gul Dukat had orchestrated. And so it leads to a political stalemate on Cardassia, which is better than Dukat winning, at least.
I want Dukat to win.
Meanwhile, there's been this whole thing where, like, Cisco was chosen as the arbitrator to figure out where should Boyface go. Boyface, for some reason, they decide...
goddamn decision.
For some reason, they decide, let's have the boy stay with the O'Briens. You know, the only person on this ship who hates the Cardassians as much as the Bajorans.
Who's Kira?
She is the Bajoran.
Yes.
Okay.
The boy, we find out, you know... It does sound like it's very heavily implied that the abuse story was a lie, probably planted by Dukat.
Well, but, like, the thing is
it
it was a half-lie, though, right? Because it sounds like he has had it... You're not done with the summary yet, are you? It does seem like he's had, like, oh, the Cardassians are pieces of shit, and here's why.
Well, that's... Yeah, and he's like...
But it doesn't sound like he's been taking beatings for it.
Yeah, no. He just, like... They told him what
He's going to be bullied on the schoolyard.
That's the thing. Like, it's very
for sure.
complicated.
On the schoolyard.
But yeah, we'll discuss that. Short version, Cisco decides to send the boy back to Cardassia with his dad. And...
Pissing Caitlin off and ruining the whole fucking episode.
Yeah, like, it's kind of complicated. Just watch the episode and read the summary on Memory Alpha, because this one seems a lot straight.
I know. Once they started with this whole gigantic plan, 8-year-long plan that Dukat has been just sitting on.
Cardassian.
I don't know. That sounds
that's
like
Dukat.
That's the Cardassians.
Oh, he's brilliant, and I love him. But holy shit, it made this episode very. You have to pay attention.
It's convoluted as fuck. This plan.
Cardassians are good at the kinds of plans Romulans wish they were good at.
Yeah, I'm sure. Dukat's probably got other dozens and dozens of plans he's sitting on. There's other war orphans. He's just waiting for that person's father to come of it.
He has
come into being a problem or some shit.
So many irons in the fire that he may never use, but he knows they're there. But I feel like all Cardassians are probably kind of like that. Mm-hmm. I feel like Garrick probably has a bunch of plans. Let's talk about Garrick.
Yeah. I don't think anybody is as good at it, though, as Gul Dukat, because he's just...
I don't know.
I think Garrick pretty much from the off knew the whole plan.
Oh, yeah.
His whole thing of let's go investigate was he was just trying to get... Because he knew if he brought he didn't have the evidence, and if he just spun that tail, it wouldn't have flown.
Yeah.
So he needed Julian to go and find all the breadcrumbs.
That's why Garrick did what he did in the first place. That's why he walked over to the boy and because it was really weird. That he walked over and made this big show of being oh, nice Cardassian boy, hey, and put his hand on his shoulder, got really close to him, even though he's smarter than that.
I wonder if
he was trying to take a DNA swab.
I think Garrick knew that the kid was going to lash out.
Right. Here's a tinfoil hat theory. Dukat actually previously enlisted Garrick in the plan from the get-go.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And then Garrick, partway through, is fuck Dukat. I'm going to fuck him over.
Garrick clearly does not like Dukat.
No, he doesn't. But
Garrick is on Garrick's side.
Because I could see
sometimes Bashir's.
Dukat feeling maybe he has leverage on because the implication is that Garrick is in exile. He's not allowed to go back to Cardassia. But maybe Dukat was hey, if you help me out with this plan, maybe I can pull some strings, get you back home.
How long has Garrick been in exile? Do we know?
Since the end of the war, I believe.
Wasn't that recently?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This kid's timeline is fucking nuts because he was in that explosion or whatever and lost his mom and his dad thought he was dead 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he was 4 years old, so he's 12 now. Yeah. Assuming years are the same. I don't fucking know.
Let's go with yes.
Let's say yes for simplicity's sake. So, which means he's been adopted by these Bajoran parents for the last, I don't know how quickly he was adopted, but it doesn't sound like very long because they've been raising him for at least many years, at least a bunch of years, at least most of his life.
Right, probably most of the 8 years.
Which means they adopted this kid whilst the Cardassian occupation was happening.
They might just be that nice. Because I think the implication is that the war orphans were not just left behind. During the entire conflict, war orphans were being created.
Well, because they do,
and the Bajorans would find a kid whose parents they killed, and they were well, what do? We can't just execute a child.
Just suddenly human.
So they were probably had the orphanages set up during the occupation on their own side for anyone that.
But why would the Cardassians not just go over and take the kids?
They say that There's a line, I think Garrick says, that on Cardassia, orphans have no standing.
Oh, right.
It's kind of a weird thing for your culture to have.
Yeah.
Considering how often you're at war.
Well, we know how important family. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm guessing if you're.
What about grandma?
Yeah, but I'm
Can grandma
guessing
take it?
if you are a orphan, then your career path is probably cannon fodder in some war.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't have connections. You're not going to get to be anything more than just the lowest rung.
Cardassia probably doesn't have a lot of social programs either.
Yeah, I would imagine
So
not.
a ward of the state, they'd just be like, that's an inefficient use of resources. Why would we do that?
Go mine!
So another point. So like Caitlin
Right?
had hinted that she was dissatisfied with the ending.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You have to realize that we're not talking about custody of an orphan. We're talking about
A
a
kidnapping.
kidnapping victim. Because he wasn't an orphan. Like, if he was an orphan that was abandoned, sure. But literally, this was a child that was kidnapped from his parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're, like, then literally taking him... He's already gone through this traumatic kidnapping from his parents
it's
and explosion in a
horrific.
house. And now you're taking him away from everything he knows to a land that he's been raised to fucking hate and a people that he's been raised to hate.
Yeah, but
It's gonna be fucking miserable. This kid's gonna probably wind up fucking
it's
killing
gonna
himself
be-
in his
It's gonna be
20s.
horrific. And, like, Sisko says as much in
well-
his log, where he's like, he's the real victim.
Yeah,
here.
I expected the
Okay,
solution
but if
to
they-
be like
Cut the baby in half?
no, to be like what's the dad's name? Kotan Padur.
The Bajoran?
Something. The Bajoran guy. Oh no, the Cardassian
Oh, the
guy.
Cardassian.
His actual father, his biological father, to give him like visitation rights or some shit.
Well, see,
Until he gets his child to know.
Yeah,
who
but
he
I
is
don't think
again.
I think legally it's like there's at that point, once it becomes clear that this was a kidnapping,
Yeah.
the legal situation becomes a lot more black and white.
You're assuming human
But this is
laws.
Cardassia.
Okay, but also, we just said they probably don't have a lot of social systems. Are you telling me this kid's gonna get, like, good therapy on Cardassia?
Well,
If he's
within
got
a
a
family,
rich,
yeah.
politically connected dad, sure.
Yeah.
He'll be taken care of, whether it helps or not. Who knows?
I mean, here's the thing.
I
There
just think
was...
it's awful.
There's no good
It is
situation
awful.
for this
It's really
kid.
awful. It's a heartbreaking episode.
Because, like, even if he had stayed on Bajor, like, he despises what he sees in the mirror. You know, I'm sure he gets a lot of stick from other Bajorans who aren't as kind. You know, they're like, I don't care who
Most
raised him, he's
Bajorans
still a
are
Cardi.
dicks.
They seem pretty racist. So, like, there's no good out for this kid, really. But there's a chance you can figure maybe, if he's among his own people for a while, he can
I mean, I guess.
learn to
but,
not
like,
hate his own fucking reflection.
I think the
I
biggest
just don't know.
the biggest thing is they don't even ask him.
Well, they do,
Like-
and he says, "I want to go back to Bajor."
Right. Well, yeah,
Well, yeah,
like,
but the only
it's like, but
person
they
that-
don't actually take
The only person that asks him is O'Brien. Nobody cares what
But
O'Brien
in-
fucking thinks.
Especially Keiko.
You also got to figure in Sisko's position, you have, from just a political standpoint for the Federation, we have a powerful Cardassian politician versus some Bajoran farmer or whatever, whatever
Yeah.
the dude was. So I'm sure, in a deleted scene, an admiral calls up and says, "Hey, Sisko, you better make sure that kid ends up on Cardassia because I don't want to deal with the fallout."
It is kind of sad. Like, he just wants to go back to Bajor. Meanwhile, the other, that little Cardassian girl orphan you see at the orphanage seems
yeah.
really
Yeah.
eager to go back to Cardassia.
Because she lives in a fucking orphanage.
Yeah, and Garrick's just like,
Nope, sorry, child. Bye.
wasn't
no,
expecting this.
Oh,
Well,
no, you
but
might
maybe-
be mine.
But maybe the good turnout of this that we also don't see is that Gul Dukat then has to go and
Oh
rescue
no,
all the rest
he
of
drops
the
it
orphans.
entirely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Too bad.
For
Well,
sure.
He almost certainly does.
Well, then maybe new daddy will do it. Or I guess old daddy.
It's well,
He
they were
seems
gonna
sort
they were-
of-
no, they were gonna keep the presence of his
Oh.
son secret as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, well, and even in
No, yeah,
Sisko,
they
even-
mention it to him. He's like, yeah,
Well,
well...
well, think about that.
Yeah, goodbye. Yeah, you're right.
I got what I want, and I'm a Cardassian.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that...
was.
oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that was the one time Garrick didn't lie. Is when the girl asked, "Are you
Oh,
here
yeah.
to help us?" and he said no.
No, bitch, I don't want new kids.
Um,
I think that the scene at the O'Brien house was really good, but I also think
with
they...
the dad, that scene, or with the scene?
No, with the kid and with Keiko and
Oh.
shit.
Yeah, there was a hot second, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, Keiko!" When O'Brien says something racist, and Keiko
That was
fucking
an ugly thing.
fucking
to say.
fucking knocks
Yeah.
him on
But
his
I-
ass about it. But then Keiko immediately reverses it by being like, "I made you some Cardassian bullshit."
Yeah, they're both racist
Like,
and insensitive.
Keiko,
Yeah.
have you been informed what's going on here?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think she was, and if she was, then she's just an idiot, which I've always thought.
Kid's like, I thought I was
But
getting
the
hot
thing
dogs.
is, I sort of feel like if they made this today, there would have been this really great moment where she could have been like, yeah, do you know what people used to say about my people? Do you know what they used to say about your fucking people, O'Brien? You potato head motherfucker.
I did love the moment, though, where their bowls clink together and they lock eyes like, oh, we can bond over our mutual hatred of your people.
Well, no, of our mutual people's cuisine, let's be real.
We can
O'Brien's
bond
like,
over
"It's
how much
true.
of a bitch your wife is.
Irish cuisine is garbage also.
I did like, though, when the kid was like, do you hate the Cardassians? And Miles has
God.
to go like,
O'Brien had to pretend that he doesn't.
oh, no, I mean, I've met some I don't like, and some I do, I think.
He liked, the dude that he kind of bonded with.
Sort-of-ish.
The wounded.
Kind of.
I tolerated him for the moment they were in that elevator.
I
together.
do like, though, that they have kept that aspect of his personality. They haven't
the
whitewashed him.
racist part.
Well, because they could have whitewashed him.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They chose to leave him as...
Doesn't get much whiter than
Like-
Irish. Just saying.
Like, no, he has this flawed aspect of his personality, and we're going to make sure to utilize it, because this group of people we established he is not keen with
Is
are
there-
a major part of this show.
There weren't enough racists in this episode.
Well, so, also, just this is a side point, nothing to do with the Cardassian stuff, but have you noticed that, Keiko hasn't been in a ton of episodes, but so far in this series, 2 of the episodes she's been in have displayed her terrible cooking.
Well, being fair, this time it was Cardassian food, so...
And she's also not cooking. She's just replicating shit, isn't she?
That's
Well,
true.
it wasn't even in TNG it was mentioned that she doesn't cook well, like...
No,
Which is weird
no,
because
it's
it's
not.
replicator.
It is not mentioned. It's like it's fucking O'Brien being like, "Oh, the fucking wife is putting me on some
Oh, they're
garbage
making me
kale
Eat
diet."
this fucking salad, god damn it, I want meat and potatoes.
That's the real problem. Is
Bacon
Keiko?
Gamora.
Keiko was like, "I don't want you to have a fucking heart attack, you fat fuck," and he's like, "Oh,
She
trying
does.
to feed me salads, are you? Tooraloo-raloo-ra."
Despite all reason, I love you. Please eat better.
Yeah, but so I don't. That's the thing. She's like, "Oh, I hope you like it." It's like, bitch, that would be like if I typed a recipe up in Microsoft Word and was like, "I hope you think it's great." You didn't fucking do anything, bitch.
Look, it's the future. This is just how cooking works.
But
Listen,
it's
I don't
also,
wanna
though,
hear it.
like,
Well, if you're saying if it's the thought that counts, she didn't fucking think it out either because this motherfucker hates Cardassians.
But it's also like a mom type thing to do, like thinking you're making an effort, but like kind of not.
That mom thing. I was gonna say my mom
Right.
couldn't cook. She
You know
was
what it
awful.
is? On some level, she was like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give him some Cardassian food, which he hasn't had since he was a child, and he's gonna, remember, and it's gonna start the healing process, and...
It's like, oh my god,
this blew up in my face.
it's like when Troy gave ice cream to Jono in
Exactly.
Suddenly Human.
Except it didn't work.
Well, that's because it was an ice cream.
Yeah, no, really,
Idiot.
she should have given him ice cream.
Yeah, it was weird.
Cardassian ice cream is probably pretty good.
Blue lumps.
You can eat it with a spoon.
Oh.
It looked
Yeah.
so gross.
Do Cardassians have blue blood?
Oh,
I don't know.
Because
I don't know
I
if it's
thought
how-
couldn't quite tell from the screen because it looked like Garrick after he got bit might have had blue.
No, I didn't look that
blood.
You
close.
might, because they're supposed to be kind of like reptilian things.
Yeah,
So.
Do
like I'm
reptiles
just
have
I'm
blue
just not
blood?
sure. I
Don't
didn't know if
some
that was
animals.
I don't know. I'm asking
someone
you.
else had seen that or not.
I don't know either.
I don't think so. I thought animals just
Vulcans
have
have green
Yeah,
red
probably. I
blood.
don't fucking know.
Klingons sometimes have pink blood.
Oh, speaking of food in the replicators and stuff, how badly does a space station that has replicators need a tailor?
Well, I don't know.
Did they just give Garrick something to do?
It's about the tailor. No, he did. He gave.
That's the thing.
himself
It's
something
like,
to do.
even in a world where you can replicate clothes, there's probably a certain social status that comes from being like, no, mine was actually cut and assembled by a living thing.
I know. It's also like in a
But
place.
people at DS9 aren't
Like
those
anyone can go to Target and buy
Yeah.
$8.95 pair of jeans, or you can go to a nice boutique and have handmade jeans.
Yeah, but you can
They
tell
both
the
cover your ass.
You can tell the replicator exactly what sizes you need, though. You can customize it more than you can at Target.
I think Garrick fancies himself more of a fashion designer necessarily than just a tailor. I think he sees artistry in it.
He's
I bet
programming
Quark
the
gets
clothes.
all of his great
That's
clothes
true.
from him.
He does often say this would look good on you. like as opposed to
he's
I
not
can make
just
this
like
fit
hemming,
me.
hemming pants.
Well, he's probably also hemming.
Well, yeah.
pants.
In answer to your question, according to Memory Alpha at least, there is an episode where it is established that Cardassian blood is brown.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Of course,
Like
it's,
poop.
of course
Poopy.
it's brown.
But it's an episode we have not yet gotten to.
gross.
So.
Is it in this show?
So
Yes.
Speaking of this one, I actually the scene in the O'Brien's house when the father
with the father.
that was a heartbreaking scene.
Oh yeah.
I actually felt really, really, really bad for the guy.
When the kid was
For
like, "Fuck you,
Padar?
Dad."
when he was like, "Do you want to look at some photos of yourself when you were a kid?" I was like, "Oh."
When I was actually like,
I
oh my god,
didn't.
why would you make poor O'Brien have to explain to this guy, look, your kid probably hates your guts. Like, shouldn't that have been Sisko's job?
Nope, it's O'Brien's job. It's his penance for being a fucking racist.
They need a
And
station
the Irish
counselor.
love penance.
True. But again, they're also the ones that decided, hey, let's have the Cardassian boy stay with the PTSD'd vet of the Cardassian War.
Well, maybe
like,
they
all
were,
the choices
you know,
made were bad.
Well, I think the idea was more that he was spending time with the school teacher.
True, but they really didn't think through who she
Yeah.
was married to.
Well, most of us try to forget O'Brien.
No, I love
and
O'Brien.
his marriage to Keiko,
I
to
love
be
O'Brien.
fair. No, I think O'Brien's fine.
I have been firmly in his corner since Tosk.
Oh, I loved
Yeah,
that
he
episode.
hooked
That
us
was
Yeah,
such a
he
good
was good in
episode.
Tusk.
Yeah, I like this show too. I think obviously this is a complete retread of Suddenly Human.
Obviously.
Yeah, it's funny because it didn't occur to me, but the minute you said it, you're like, oh yeah.
Oh, first thing
But it's so much better.
Literally first thing I thought.
I've completely blocked that piece of shit from my memory, so I didn't
Yeah.
think of
I
it.
mean, the twist. So in the big difference is at the end of Suddenly Human, Picard sends Jono back to live with his adopted parents.
Yeah.
So it does have the opposite conclusion.
Well, that's because
Yeah.
Picard was correct, and Sisko is a bootlicker.
I mean, again, Sisko was in the sort of a tougher position in that, like, this was just blatantly a kidnapping versus like this was sort of a foundling, and we didn't know how to contact his people to find out if there were any next of kin. And there was, of course. It turned out to be an admiral of some kind.
I thought the thing in Something Human was that they could take children as spoils of war.
Oh yeah, that too.
Like it wasn't so much that we couldn't contact you as no, we won a battle.
But I'm
so
sure
we
if
get
they,
to keep your
even if they
kid.
wanted to, I'm not sure if they
You killed
know
my kid,
how.
therefore I get yours.
Yeah.
Is how it went.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think there's no good solution of what to do with this kid, unfortunately.
Ross
I
is
think
making a face. What's
Sorry,
up?
no, we've just. I think we've talked enough about the child situation. We should talk more about how Garrick is amazing and he's my favorite.
Okay,
So,
we can definitely do that.
this-
I had a really,
he's
really.
amazing and he's my favorite.
I know,
I don't understand how the people at the orphanage just let him fix their computer and fuck with their shit, though.
because it wasn't working.
Yeah, I think it was sort of like whatever. We're underfunded.
Yeah, but
he
it's a
can't
fucking...
he can't break it any worse.
Yeah, but they're just like letting this fucking Cardassian go through all their shit.
He's with a Starfleet guy, so maybe they trust him.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine.
You gonna say
Well, I mean, she didn't seem terribly happy, so.
Yeah, my note was when they find the kid Rugal, and they're showing him to a bunch of humans, being like, oh, here's Julian and Miles and Keiko, and here's some people, and he's looking all like forlorn about, I don't know what's going on, and then they're like, oh, don't worry, they're all human, none of them are Cardassians. I wrote in my notes, quote, they don't have a bit of Cardassian in them, and then Julian would say, well, not anymore.
Oh, no.
I did love the bit where Ducat is standing there watching his plan crumble underneath himself, and Garrick's just behind him smiling.
Yeah,
It
no,
is
I
a
love
great
that.
smile.
The big speech at the end where Julian's like laying out the entire plan, and like the entire time he doesn't have any lines at all. Garrick is just standing in the background smiling and staring at whoever's talking, and like he just moves his eyes. He didn't move his head at all, so he was just like, ah.
He does great eye acting, that's true, he does. I mean, it is a fairly genius plan.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
who the fuck would break this plan?
Right. And so, like, he's just so happy. Like, he's so proud of Julian. Like, he figured it out. And, like, it was so good at the end when Gul Dukat, like... So, Gul Dukat basically ordered someone to take the boy to an orphanage. And they found out that a Cardassian officer brought... What's his name? To the
Rugal?
orphanage. Yeah, and so the big moment at the end was oh, who was in charge of this particular officer? And it was Gul Dukat.
Yep.
And so, like, they're basically, so the whole thing, they're like, so who was in charge? And Gul Dukat, like,
Just
gets upset, stands up, and walks out of the room.
Yes.
And
And then, as a side note, Julian's like, yeah, it was you. It was Gul Dukat.
Yeah, let the record show.
I think we've maybe referenced it before, but this is the first in-show mention of the fact that the Cardassian name for the station was Tarok Nor.
I believe so.
Because that was the whole thing, was like, because they mentioned that, oh yeah, they also attached to Tarok Nor. And, and then they're like, and who was in charge of Tarok Nor? Which, because the audience at this point doesn't know that was what they called the station, Julian goes, for the record, Tarok Nor was what they called this place.
No,
I thought Gul Dukat said that.
Oh, either way, yeah, he said Dukat.
He only got one by the way, and that was after
yeah.
Dukat left.
That's right.
I liked at the end that between, like, Garak and Bashir, it felt like a very, like, Holmes and Watson kind of moment.
Yes.
Where he was like, you just need to observe more, you followed, but he's like, at the end, Bashir's like, there's just one thing I don't understand, Holmes. I mean, Garak, and it just felt very...
How did you get into my bedroom?
And it's even great, too.
Yeah, I forgot about that!
We're going for a ride!
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, literally just...
Suit up, Julian.
Literally just Julian Bashir in his adorable space jammies, sleeping in bed. He rolls over and looks up, and I forgot about and Garak is just staring down at him.
Well, that was...
And the best part was Julian wasn't even fazed by it. So this is definitely not the first time it's happened. And who knows how long Garak was just watching Julian sleep for.
Days.
I'm envisioning that this is a Twilight-esque scenario. And Garak's just like, I don't need to sleep. I like watching you sleep. And Julian...
Is that what happens in Twilight?
I was watching with a friend, and they said
Kristen's
literally...
creepy.
They literally said that.
That's exactly what he said, yeah. He's like, I don't sleep, I just sit here and watch you. And she's like, wow, that's so hot. And it's like, no, it isn't.
No,
it's not.
Because I feel like, and maybe I'm just imagining this now because you put it in my head, but I do feel like, there is at least one Holmes story when they're still roommates, where, like, at one point, Watson just wakes up and there's Holmes. And Holmes is like, we got a case! He, like, flings his hat at him and is like, no time, let's go!
Well, I mean, here's the thing, like, think about how preoccupied with Holmes so much of TNG was. Like, it's not a big leap.
It's not. Yeah. I also now really, really want them to get Andrew Robinson and Alexander Siddig to play Holmes and Watson in something.
There's enough fucking Holmes and Watsons. I'm done with them.
But this one would be these two.
I don't care.
And the Will Ferrell one was supposed to be terrible, so really we could use...
The Will Ferrell one? Which one is he?
He's
Holmes.
That's...
And what is it, John C. O'Reilly as Watson? Yeah, it was guaranteed to be a pile of shit, but the trailer looked really funny, so it was like, this will be good. But no, apparently
even people who normally like his stuff were like, this is trash.
And that's the thing, I really don't like Will Ferrell most of the time.
No, I hate it.
My last Garak comment.
He's just such a man-baby scream creature, and I hate that shit. Go ahead, James.
I'm
so sorry.
No, it's quite all right. I was interrupting you. So.
Supposedly he's nice in real life.
Sure, whatever. I don't care.
No.
Supposedly.
Allegedly.
We don't see it here.
Rumors to be desired.
Rumors and innuendo.
No, I really liked when Garak and Bashir were on the planet.
And they were bickering,
well,
like
yeah,
old boyfriend.
Yeah, they were kind of arguing, and they're just like, how do you even know that they'd have this information? And Garak looks over and it's just like, the Cardassians have taught record keeping to many worlds.
I love
all the worlds they occupy.
Well, no, and he says it in front of that woman.
Right.
Where he's like, we even taught you people how to do it, and she's just like...
I mean, the thing is, I don't think he's lying when you think about it.
I'm sure he's not lying.
Duet. The whole thing was like, this guy was so good at record keeping.
Yeah.
They sent him to go teach people how to do it. They are big on records. As were the Nazis.
I was gonna say that whole thing is a big
Nazi reference.
Reference to that.
A big Nazi reference. Wow.
I mean, the Cardassians are.
And you just carry this thing with you at all times. It's a simple tailor's tool. Yeah, okay. Your little eyepiece thing.
Yeah, what was that? It
This
just
is
looked like goggles or something.
Yeah, using it to fix the computer. So good.
Yeah, no, I liked this one. I thought emotionally, I felt more for this kid and for
Yeah.
and for the for the father, as you know, the biological father as well as the adoptive father.
I didn't care too much for the kid because I didn't think his acting was great. Like I felt like the reunion with biological Dadums was like so lackluster.
Well, I don't know. I thought that the kid didn't bring a lot to the table, but I felt that the
situation was teeming,
and the actor playing the father, I think, carried that scene a lot.
Oh yeah, he was really good. He did a really good job.
I did, and I thought it was
He was
interesting.
so happy his son was alive.
Yeah. Like I felt really heartbroken for him in that scene, where he brought the photos and stuff. But
his son's like, "Fuck you, Dad. You don't understand me."
But then at the end, I was like, "Oh, this guy." He is, when he's like, "Oh, maybe you'll help the other orphans." He's like, "We'll see about that." I was like, "Oh no, you're just a Cardassian."
Well, you're a piece of shit still.
The rest of my fucking cards. Oh no, they're over there.
All right. Well, do we have anything else to say on any of these?
Garrick and Julian forever.
OTP.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it be.
I feel like the best comparison I came up with for those two is Garrick is a cat owner with a laser pointer. Yeah, like that's what he's doing the whole time. He's just like it's like, oh, it's fun for both of us, as he's making Julian dance.
No, there was the moment where Julian is whining to one of the Bajorans at the orphanage, and he's like, "Well, why am I here? Garrett just brought me here. He doesn't tell me anything." It's like, wow, this is just every relationship.
And he goes and when they're in the runabout on their way back, and he stops.
Oh
and
yeah.
He's like, well, we can just stay here and rot.
There was a point later where Bashir's trying to convince Cisco something's going on. He's like, so I was talking to Garrick, and Garrick, well, he didn't tell me, but he implied that something is going on. It's just the least convincing argument ever.
So he implied, but didn't tell you about something that you're not sure what it is.
And Cisco's like, "Yeah, how many shuttlecrafts do you need then?"
Well, that's the thing. He was probably totally ready to just be like, "Would you go to bed?" But then Gul Dukat called.
Right at that moment.
And that's like, okay.
Which again leads me to believe that Garrick was working with Dukat, or like Dukat thought Garrick was working for him.
No, my thought on that is, oh no, Dukat must have found out like fucking immediately. My God, how could that have happened? No, it's because Julian didn't tell him right away because he got distracted because he's such a fucking puppy.
I also loved in this when Bashir busted it on his second call with Dukat, and he's like, "By the way, bitch, I have some questions."
That was pretty good.
And then
Ben was not happy.
No, and he was like, "No, it was the highlight of my day. Don't do it again." I like when he does that. He does that subverting expectation thing a lot, where he'll be like, he'll say like, "Oh no, that thing that you did that was not regulation was great, but don't ever do it again." Like I love when he does that. I love Ben Cisco. I'm into it. I'm into it.
Yeah, he's fun.
Good dude.
I love him.
Maybe what they can do, because you're
Still
right.
waiting for the goatee.
No, I hate it. That's the thing. I know
like
the
it.
beard is coming, and I don't like it.
What are you doing, Brad?
There is too much. You're right, Holmes and Watson. So what they can just do is they can get their own CBS series.
Garrick and Julian.
Julian has left Starfleet and solves crimes in space. They're private detectives. It's kind of a 70s themed thing, but
Yeah,
okay.
Garrick is still just a simple tailor.
Yeah, they go around in his tailoring truck together through space.
Space truck.
Speaking of trucking through space, time for us to transform and roll out.
Next,
Like an animorph.
Yeah, so it doesn't just turn into a truck.
Yeah,
Lame.
if you think that means I'm gonna keep all that bullshit in, you are dead wrong.
Fucking better. Are you really not gonna leave it in?
It was like a bunch of nonsense.
Why do you disrespect my art?
Because no one else gets the references.
Listen,
Everybody knows what a
does
fucking
Matt L
transformer
from
is.
Florida listen
No.
to this show? Because if he does, he's gonna love the hell out of that Animorphs
Who?
bit. You better leave that in for Matt.
Matt? Who the fuck's Matt?
Anyway, next week.
Doesn't even listen to the show.
No, he does. I think he does.
Everybody that listens to the show has been on this show.
No, that's not true. Anyway, thanks for joining us for Star to Steer By. Next week we're going to do the same fucking thing where Jake and I have a lot of really great banter and Chris cuts it out so you people never hear
Yeah,
it.
if you guys feel like this show's been slipping, it's because Chris cuts out all the best comedy.
Here's the thing. You guys listen, you'll never know what he cuts.
That's true.
Monsters. Anyway, next week we're going to talk about 2 more episodes of Deep Space Nine, Melora, and rules of acquisition.
Yay!
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. In the meantime, if you like what you heard, you can do lots of things. You can find us where all fine podcasts are sold. They sell us there anyway, but we're sort of like in the clearance section. Like there's a piece broken off that you're still trying to get a couple bucks. We're on SoundCloud,
Steal
Stitcher,
this podcast.
Google Play, Apple Podcasts. Is that what it's called now? Apple
Yes.
Podcasts. You can also find us on Tumblr and Twitter at SSHB Podcast. You can find us on Facebook by searching A Star to Steer Her By. And you can visit sshbpodcast.com, which is our website, but it's really just our Tumblr page. I have been Caitlin.
I have been Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
I'm James. Rossi.
Boo.
Some people
What
know
was
me.
the
Some
episode
people
that had
know me
the
as
weird
Rossi.
subplot with Quark and the guy with the mouth?
That's the
That's
next
next
episode.
week.
Oh, that was next week? Okay, that's Melora.
Look forward to that.